Rise in cholera cases forces Adan East District Coordinating Council to ban all social gatherings in attempt to curb spread.
Also to come, National Labour Commission expected to meet with leadership of striking public sector workers' union.
A lot later in this afternoon's bulletin, West African Examination Council (WAEC) says it is working to release withheld results for candidates who took the 2024 Basic Education Certificate Examination (BECE). Hello there, midweek action here on News Central. I am Mawina Igbeta.
And I am Kemini Amano. The news starts right now. In our first story, the Ada East District Coordinating Council has placed a ban on all social gatherings following the upsurge in cholera cases in the area. The serving of foods and drinks at funerals have already been banned by authorities there. The decision by the two districts follows the incessant upsurge of the disease in their districts. The disease outbreak in the districts was first announced by the Ghana Health Service on October 11th. Our health correspondent, Sarah Apenkro, visited the two districts with special focus on one of the most hit communities as Izanya, and reports the situation looks far from being over. She's here with me in the studio to tell us a bit more. Talk to us about how dire the outbreak is in Adan East.
So, Kevin, you rightly said yesterday we were in both districts, Adan West and East. And one of the communities, Azizanya, which happens to be a coastal community, from checks I had done, almost every home within the community has had a relative infected with cholera. The assembly member I engaged with was telling me at the facility, as of last week, there were about 70 cases at the local facility, and 40 of those cases were coming from the community. And the fundamental issue is that they do not have toilet facility, they do not have a proper source of water, the river in which they do their fishing activities. That's what they used to cook, that's what they drink. Tap doesn't flow in the area. So a lot is happening on the ground, and you can tell. In fact, as of Monday, when I got to the community yesterday, I was told a school had to shut down in Pute, one of the coastal communities also, because food served by the caterer to the students was contaminated.
So how many people, I mean, from your checks, have got cholera so far?
Officially, we haven't gotten the actual figure from the Ghana Health Service, but from what I'm picking on the ground from the community, some opinion leaders, we should be looking at more than 200 cases currently as we speak. So it's quite dire, and it doesn't look like the interventions that are being put in place is making any major impact. The assemblies with the dissect members are bringing tankers into the communities to supply water for the people on weekly basis, sometimes 2 times in the week. So there is a poly tank at the community center where the water is supplied, and then they go there with their barrels to get the water, which they are expected to use to eat, cook their foods or drink.
And that's why they are placing bans on certain social activities. You spoke to the DCE. Talk to us about what he told you.
Yeah, so I spoke to the DCE for the Adan West, who said they started last week on stopping the serving of food and drinks at funerals, because the first case actually came from someone who had gone for funeral and brought the food home. and the food was actually contaminated. And so the person fell ill, and it was detected that it happened to be cholera. So they are no longer allowing foods to be served nor drinks, and they are hoping to review it by the end of this weekend to see what they would also do in their district, that is looking at the ban, aside the social distancing, the using of sanitizers. But Adan East...
And we'll talk about Adan East in a bit. Let's take a listen to the DCU in Adan West.
The RCC brought reps from the RCC, and then we held the meeting. At the meeting, we put a lot of structures in place. We decided at the first place to do communal labor at all the communities, especially at the coastal belt. Talk about Wokumakbe, Aklabanya, Anyamam Goi, and then the Lolonya. After the communal labor, each and every household is supposed to go by the Operation Clean Your Frontage system. After that, we have also decided that the funerals within our district should go by the 1 meter distance system, where you don't come close to each other. And also at the funerals, they are not supposed to share food and then drinks. We are also using the hand sanitizers and the Veronica buckets at all funerals and then at all churches. We have realized that water is not flowing within some of the communities where these problems started. And so therefore we have agreed that we are using water tankers, and we have placed polytanks. We are sure that by the time tankers will not be able to go again, community water will finish with their extension, and therefore water should be flowing.
DCE for Adan West here. Our health correspondent, Sarah Penkro, is still with me here in the studio. Sarah, that was Adan West. You also spoke to the NCCE officer in Adan East on what they could be doing about the situation. What did they say to you?
So the NCCE in both districts are collaborating because they are challenged with resources. They do not have vehicles which will help them to do more sensitization within the communities.
Right.
They have been given one from the regional NCCE, and so Adan West is using it. Adan East has also been given one by the district assembly, which they are using to get into the communities, the markets, to educate them on what is happening. But she, you know, she's part of DISEC, the District Coordinating Council, and so yesterday was the last meeting they held was where they decided on the interventions they were going to intensify. And so yesterday they were going to finalize it, where they would be announcing to the people the ban on the social gatherings
and social activities. But then, you know, residents, particularly in Adan East, have also been responding to the outbreak. What did they say to you?
So they are aware of the outbreak. It's new to them because it's their lifestyle. They've been using the water for ages. They use it to cook, they drink and all that. So it's a new thing they are trying to adjust to. But the main problem they have is that they do not have a toilet facility. The only one that was started, the construction was started about 11 years ago, had stalled. And so they openly defecate. And so they defecate, it goes into the water, and the same water they use. So they are actually asking for a toilet facility and also free flow of water into the community.
I mean, which is really important if we are to curb any outbreak of cholera. Sarah, thank you for bringing us this report. Let's take a listen to those residents from Adan East.
Most of the villages are attacked by this cholera. Some people, they will go to the clinic and come back, and suddenly it will, like they'll be vomiting again, and they will take them back again. Because we have been using, some of the villages have been going to the bush, and some also have been going to the seaside. We don't have a toilet here that we have been using. So I think they have to share some of the toiletries for us so that we'll be using. And the water too, we need it the most because the river water is not safe for us again.
We need a toilet facility because we don't have toilet facility in Azizanya here. So that's the only thing we can do.
As I'm telling that I'm going to be
Well, now, Professor Fred Binka is a clinical epidemiologist, and he's joined us over the telephone for a bit more on this. Prof, good afternoon to you. Let's talk about the situation in Ada East. What could, authorities be doing now, authorities and residents alike, really, to ensure that this does not spread beyond these districts or any further within the districts?
Good afternoon to you and your... Thank you very much. I think the case in Ada is classic. Just listening to from your reporter and also from the people around Ada. I think the case of cholera is clearly established, and I think the local government people are doing the best. But this is a situation where what we call the oral, so the mouth to the feet, is the problem. So we need water. We need people to learn how to continue to learn how to wash their hands. And this must be done in such a way that it is well done. So I would suggest to the local government to the chances from the other districts.
Very well. So, Prof, it would appear we are having challenges with the connection with you. Unfortunately, we can't continue our conversation. But in this day and age, I would have loved to hear your thoughts on what could be the reason we continue to see this in our communities. But I want to tell you a little bit about cholera. Let's take a look at what cholera is, what it could be doing to you if you contract the disease. Is an acute diarrheal disease transmitted through contaminated water or food, like you heard Sarah talk about. It can kill you within hours if left untreated, and that is why ORS is really important for hydration. ORS, you can just go to, the health center within your communities. You find ORS there. In 2017, we had one of our worst outbreaks where we recorded 24,000 cholera cases nationwide. And there were deaths as well, around cholera outbreak in this country before. We can now turn attention to education.
Absolutely. This afternoon, the West African Examination Council says it is working to release the pending results for candidates who took the 2024 Basic Education Certificate Examination. Now, according to WAEC, the results of 33 school candidates and 3 private candidates have been withheld. WAEC added that some subject results from candidates in 149 schools are currently under review due to reported irregularities. John Kapi is the head of public affairs for WAEC. Is joining us this afternoon with a bit more in terms of explanations, because on social media there's been concerns raised by a cross-section of the citizenry in relation to pending results and all of that. Let's try and get a bit more from him. Mr. Kapi, I appreciate that you could join us this afternoon. We understand not all papers have been marked, and so why have the results been released? It's a curious question being asked. What is the status of all of the papers outside of those which are pending because of exam malpractice or irregularities?
Good afternoon to your viewers. It is not about still marking papers. It's about a problem that was created at the examination centers in the course of the examination, and which we are working around the clock to resolve. Now, the issue has to do with creative art and design. This is a paper that has, 2 components. We have the performing arts, and then we have the visual arts. Now, for the visual arts, the candidates were supposed to answer the questions in the question paper, whereas for the music bit of it and the performing arts, are supposed to answer them on a music manuscript. Unfortunately, there was a mix-up. Some of the candidates answered some of the questions for the performing arts in the question paper and answered some of it in the on the music manuscript. And so when we did the swap, you realize that somebody whose music should be, let's say, in Accra finds itself in Kumasi or finds it because of the swap. Now, the examiners out there were supposed to have marked only music, for example. So they marked the music, and then we had to find examiners in those areas to mark the visual arts as well as the performing arts. But once we have not assigned those candidate scripts to a particular marking venue, their records would not be in the system in that particular venue.
Right.
So all those marks have had to be brought back to Accra, and we are having to match them so that we don't shortchange any single candidate. Every candidate should be able to get the marks that they deserve.
Right.
That explains the delay in the release of the results for the creative art and design in particular.
There's a curious question as to how widespread this particular challenge you speak about is, and how many students possibly are involved in this organizational challenge, which has resulted in papers being scattered across the country.
Well, currently we have about 3 of the regions in which we realize, widespread disparities in this particular area. But, when you look at the population, because of the state-line grading system, if you decide to grade some of them without the others, it's possible that at the end of the day, you probably will be cheating somebody and giving them a lower grade than they deserve. So what we try to do is I want to ensure that we get all of them together, because it's one cohort. Then we run the results at once, and then we are sure that we'll be able to get everybody, being awarded the grade that they deserve.
Right. Mr. Kapi, there's a curious question coming through as to how many days it takes to mark the papers and the number of days it takes as well for verification because of this challenge which has come up.
Right. So as I said earlier, it is not the issue of marking at this particular moment. It is just a question of matching the scripts, the marks for the various components of that particular paper. Now, as we speak, we've done about 70% of the job, and our hope is that by close of day, we would have been able to, finish with the 30% that is left, and then all those who will be checking from tomorrow onwards, I believe, would get the full component of their results.
Just finally, on the question of if it was all not ready, why did we have to release a part of it and almost create a situation where people are worried?
Well, when it comes to these subjects, for as long as the others are ready, you are at liberty to release them, and then you hold on to a particular one before you finally release it. There's no hard and fast rule about this. But then, a lot of people may be right, but you see, the reason I mentioned it earlier that for some of the areas we didn't have any problems, but in order that you grade them equally and fairly, you need to get the full component before you start to do, the grading. That's the reason this one has delayed a little bit. We anticipated that we're going to be able to release this yesterday, but we could not complete the processes. But as I said, come the close of today, we are sure that we'll be able to put out all the results.
Last question on malpractices and pending exam results. How many students are we looking at?
So for now, we have 33 school candidates and 3 private candidates who are who've had their entire results withheld. That is what we are looking at. But then when it comes to 149 schools, it would be difficult because it's not the entire results that have been withheld. Probably for some of them, it's just 1 subject. Others, it's for 2 subjects. So with that disparity, it will be difficult to give you a specific figure because one person may have more than 1 subject. And so if you're counting and you're not careful, you'll probably be multiplying the figure by 3 or even by 4. So that is the reason we haven't put out that figure. But I can tell that our examiners are busy scrutinizing the scripts, and we'll give ourselves a couple of weeks. We should be able to work on these things and then release their results for them to be able to, proceed to the senior high school.
Mr. Kapi, I appreciate that you could speak to us. That's John Kapi. He speaks for the West African Examination Council, providing a bit more for us. We owed him to his word that by close of day today, the remaining results, which have been pending as a result of administrative challenges, would be released. We can move away from this and bring you the subject of the legislative instrument and Parliament indefinite adjournment. And the last session of Parliament before the House was dissolved ahead of the December 7 general election is expected to witness government present a number of bills. Amongst them, the legislative instruments to revoke the existing law, the Environmental Protection, also known as the Mining and Forest Reserves instrument, LI 2462, that allows mining in forest reserves. But with current happenings in Parliament, which has seen the House adjourn, will the LI 2462 be able to mature when it is eventually laid? Well, let me take you through the process an LI is to go through before that revocation can take place. And pursuant to Article 11, Clause 7 of the 1992 Constitution, new legislative instrument has to be laid before Parliament. The House is to publish in the Gazette on the day it is laid before Parliament, and it will come into force after 21 sitting days of Parliament after it's been laid. Under Article 11, Clause 7, Parliament cannot revise or amend a new legislative instrument, but Parliament has the power to annul it by a vote of 2/3 of all MPs before the expiration of the 21 sitting days. It does appear that promise by the President that the LI will be returned to Parliament for its revocation is hanging in the balance. Let's try and get a bit more in terms of perspective from the CSOs who are pushing for this particular revocation of the law, which will greatly aid in the fight against illegal mining. I will ask Sewa is coordinator of Eco-Conscious Citizens. She's joined us via Zoom right now. Madam, thank you for speaking to us. You have canvassed for months for the revocation of this LI. We know that the President has directed for the suspension of its implementation, but the final leg of its complete revocation now appears to have almost lost any chance of being seen through. Your reaction to what we've seen from Parliament vis-a-vis the law and its continuous standing in our statute books?
Thank you very much for having me. Good afternoon. You see, unless it was laid with some urgency, it should have been 21 sitting days. And we know Parliament sits from Tuesdays to Friday. So I'm not sure that even if Parliament hadn't been adjourned, there would have been sufficient days for the bill to be passed before Parliament was adjourned on 1st November. I'm not sure. If we wanted to pass the bill, we would have done it under what I believe is called a certificate of urgency. I'm not sure this was done. But all is not lost. We have been campaigning for LI 2462 to be revoked. Soon after it was passed and we got to know about it, we even picketed last year. What we need to do is what we've been calling for, call a state of emergency. You can do that, and then you can get everybody out of our forest reserves and water bodies. This hasn't been done. So if we really want to move ahead, we can't just sit there and say, oh, Parliament has been adjourned, and therefore we can't move forward. There are other means of moving forward if we really want to. Where there's a will, there's a way. Right. And as I've just said, if Parliament hadn't been adjourned, I'm not quite sure that the LI would have been passed if we didn't put any urgency to it.
Right, and it brings back the conversation in relation to our fight against illegal mining. Yes, the urgency with which you speak with in expecting that this law would have been revoked has been missing, but same can be said for the deployment of the military into the forest reserves, because we've seen pictures and videos which suggest that days after the military went around swooping around some of the river bodies, these illegal miners have returned. Question of commitment really to the fight against galamsey here.
You see, it's not clear there's any commitment. Even as we speak, the Minerals Commission is still issuing licenses. I'm not sure there's any commitment. The perception is that those on the water bodies, forest reserves, know when the military are coming, they just disappear. As soon as the military goes, they come back. There needs to be a sustained fight against the environmental terrorists, because that's what they are, environmental terrorists. But we don't seem to have the political will to deal with them, partly because some of them finance the parties, not just the current administration, but the political parties. And that is why nothing was done about Professor Frimpong Boateng's report, which indeed was sitting on somebody's desk gathering dust. That is why the directors of Akonta Mining, who are alleged to have destroyed parts of the Tano Nimiri Forest Reserve, are not being dealt with. And we saw that recently, esteemed journalist Erastus Asare Donko and his team were attacked, viciously attacked by the criminals. And how will this happen? So now, apart from the existential threat, we also have national security challenges. This is very serious. Look at parts of Latin America. For example, Mexico, where the drug cartels control certain parts of the country. Do we want the same thing to happen to Ghana? Of course not. Then we have to sit up. We need to go back there, be well armed, get rid of these armed people, and stop the arms from coming in. How do the arms come into the country?
Right.
How are they armed? We can't be having armed armies. So we have two problems now. The existential threat, we're all being poisoned to death. And in addition, we are having we might even have a civil war if you have armed criminals, armed environmental terrorists. So we need to have the political will. And all the political parties should, for heaven's sake, put Ghana first and sit up and say, look, this is what we are signing up to. A state of emergency, flushing out all the criminals from the forest reserves and the water bodies, getting rid of all equipment, revoking LI 2462, and then making sure that no more licenses are issued, and then looking into Professor Frimpong Boateng's report and dealing with those who were named. These are some of the steps we should begin taking.
Awula, thank you. And the advocacy will continue to rid our water bodies and forests of the activities of illegal mining. That's Awula Sewa. She's coordinator of Eco-Conscious Citizens.
Now, former Justice of the Supreme Court, Justice William Atuguba, says the Supreme Court's jurisdiction was wrongly invoked in the matter of Alexander Penyo-Makin versus the Speaker and the Attorney General regarding the Speaker's decision to declare some 4 seats vacant. He spoke exclusively on Ghana Tonight with Alfred Okansi.
Yeah, so to that extent, invoking the Supreme Court over this matter is wrong. They don't have original jurisdiction. You see, original jurisdiction means invoking the court at first instance. That's original. But they have referred jurisdiction in the sense that from even this matter, because if a constitutional provision comes up, which is not plain and straightforward, requiring interpretation. Article 130, which gives the interpretative power and the enforcement power to the exclusive to the Supreme Court, says that if a question relating to those issues arises in the court lower than the Supreme Court, the lower court shall stay the proceedings and refer the matter to the Supreme Court for determination, and then shall dispose of the matter before them in accordance with the interpretation. So, once Article 99 has entrusted vacation of this matter to the High Court, the Supreme Court to say you don't just go straight at first instance to invoke it in a matter like this, but it has referred jurisdiction if an issue of interpretation related to the Constitution arises. So to me, that's how I see it.
Find more of that interview on 3news.com. Meanwhile, you're live here on NewsCentral. I'm Kemeni Amano. When we return, we'll take you to that news conference by the Governor New Patriotic Party. Don't go away.
You know, one bucket of Flamingo paint is equal to several buckets of any other paint brand on the market. Flamingo paint, superior durability, superior hiding, superior coverage. Flamingo paint, simply superior. You know, one bucket of Flamingo paint is equal to several buckets of any other paint brand on the market. Flamingo paint, superior durability, superior hiding, superior coverage. Flamingo paint, simply superior.
The 5 kg of rice has moved from 25 cedis to 165. Oh. Hey!
Boss, cement moved from 24 cedis to 105 cedis now. Hey!
The kenke is 5 cedis. The fish, I have 10, 15, and 20 cedis. Which one do you want?
Hey!
Stop the A.
Hey!
Vote for change. Vote for John Mahama and the NDC.
Said here, you're the era of construction and fashion. And Nuntina, Chafas Institute of Practical Studies. One more a day, programs the Bray Abba, say Bettina Bow, no one now on Sanu Juma, way qualification be a home here, Sawako School, Sawunko School, and Fahokra, Ubetina Besia, Edia Kawajuma Crown, your long vehicle track, articulator, forklifts operating, excavator operating, fashion and sewing, electricals, and a plumbing works. Said here, in Sanu Juma, and we are Sibabia, and one echo, Chafas, and the Ghana. I can't boom and 2 year yapeno now TVET certificates and so I am ready and I have a license. I will bet me that Juma sell your bar and I bema obia bet me obet me at 12 school so obet me credit 2 coin akoya Juma our man on it. I am purely practical. I will be seen now your regular classes, your weekend classes, Ofrechi and Eba Chafas, our hostel, Fred Chafas. I was 0596 922 021. Because social media platforms in Naswa, Chafas Institute of Practical Studies. Chafas, you see, learn by doing.
Luckiest. Star 712 hash.
Luck is everywhere. 8K. Hey, you get an 8K. Get a packing so you have to one lie. Hey, wait.
You can put it on his tab. This is my man.
Good luck.
Hey,
Bill Radio. We are star 712. It's much more follow. I'm on dialing the magic numbers. Star 712. Now welcome to the luckiest. And I'm with me at home ticket. You can buy for yourself or your loved one.
Mommy, tell mommy who's here.
You're buying for me, right?
Or who else?
Oh.
Let's choose buy tickets for others.
Love you, boo boo.
No, maybe a straight to option 4. Now we try. You need to buy tickets worth 50 Ghana to qualify. Yes, you can buy random or preferred tickets. I'm choosing random tickets. That's it. Listen, if you buy the random ticket, the system chooses a random number for you. But if you buy the preferred, you get to input your own preferred 5 digits. 5.
Baby, give me your 5 numbers.
And how much are we buying?
Babe, look at the body and buy you.
With your body,
Hey,
never. Tread cautiously. Now follow the prompts and confirm. Now with the luckiest.
The
luckiest is regulated by the NL. On the Caritas platform, not for persons below.
The most comprehensive election coverage.
Top-notch presenters and welfare analysts.
Dedicated reporters and correspondents in every nook and cranny across the country.
All the action, every incident reported, all the big stories covered, all facts cropped, every figure verified.
Every vote monitored and accounted for.
The numbers tallied, analyzed, and interpreted.
We have invested time and energy in order to bring you a comprehensive election coverage.
The whole world will be watching us on TV, online, and radio.
Election Command Center. Facts, analysis, results.
We are your election command center. Now, the NPP will this afternoon engage members of the press. The party has been in the news over happenings in Parliament involving their MPs and others who are billed to contest the 2024 December polls as independent candidates. Although the agenda for this press engagement is yet to be known, it is believed that the party will address some of the concerns raised in the past few days. Noble Crosby Yannan is a man on the ground. He's joining us with a bit more from there. Noble, we see that the news conference hasn't started, but what can you tell us about what to expect?
Well, Kimberly, just like you rightly mentioned, the press is yet to begin, but media men from various media houses are already gathered here at the NPP party headquarters at Asylum Down, awaiting officials of the party to engage them on possibly what we expect to be responses or reactions to recent happenings in Parliament. Just like you rightly mentioned, Kimberly, the majority composition in Parliament has been a subject of debate over the past couple of days, maybe a week so far. The party, the NPP, they have members of Parliament there, and they are also interested in this. Amongst the things we're expecting the party to address or react to be the quest for some members of Parliament to run as independent candidates, maybe to offer a word of advice to prospective parliamentarians or parliamentary candidates who may want to cross carpet. We're talking about Kojo Asante from Suhum, who is an NPP member who wants to contest the 2024 elections as an independent candidate, and Cynthia Morrison also an independent candidate. These two make up a large chunk, or mainly they are contributing to what we're seeing in Parliament right now. So the party is expected to possibly address these concerns and have a word or two to some other party faithful or supporters of the party in relation to the party's regulations on how to cross carpet or how not to cross carpet. But these are what we expect officials of the party to address for the press as yet to start committee.
I see. Who is expected to address this news conference, and will it be the first time the party will be responding to happenings in Parliament, if that is what they will talk about?
Well, unfortunately, Kimberly, we just do not know the agenda, do not know who will address the presser. But it is expected that some top leadership of the party, maybe the general secretary, maybe the chairman or any of the organizers of the party or the communications director of the party may address this media engagement. Since the happenings in Parliament began, I believe this is the first time the party is officially responding or reacting to some of the things that have happened in Parliament. That we're yet to see, and we hope that they address it and we ask a few questions of them as well.
And indeed, and just before we go, it hasn't started, we see that, but when is the party saying it will begin? What's the holdup, really?
Well, unfortunately, a lot of these things have been offering. The press was built to begin at 12 o'clock. As of 12:38, it has not begun. No word from any party executive yet, but I should also say that this is not too new yet.
I see, Crosby, as always, thank you so much for the great reporting. Noble Crosby Yannan is at the NPP's head office, where we expect party executives to address members of the press in a matter of minutes.
Now, we're barely 2 months to the December 7 general elections. The coalition of various youth associations in northern Ghana, composed of leadership of the Gonjaland Youth Association, Mamprugu Youth Association, the Gomba Youth Association, the Numba Youth Association, the Kokomba Youth Association, they've all been engaging traditional kingdoms in the 5 regions of the north on the need to maintain peace before, during, and after the elections. The engagement is part of efforts by the youth associations at fostering peaceful elections, considering the fact that 2 main presidential contenders are from the north. The coalition believes the development of the north depends on peace and stability among the people, and it is the youth who are the main agent. Christopher Mwaku has been engaged in the leadership of the respective groupings. And let's find out from him what all of this means this afternoon. Christopher's joined us via Zoom. Chris, tell us which palaces the coalition has visited so far and how the reception has been like.
Yes, so Mawina, basically the coalition have visited the Mamprugu kingdom to pay homage to the Nairi and also explain to him the need for the people of the Mampuku Kingdom to embrace peace. They have also visited the Yana, the king and overlord of Dagon. They have visited the Gonja Kingdom. They have equally visited Nanung, and also heading towards the Upper East and Upper West regions to visit the two paramount overlords in these areas. Basically, what they are seeking to do is that Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, the leader of the MPP, and John Dramani Mahama, the leader of the NDC, all hail from the north. And you know there has been this assertion that the next president will be from the north. And so there is a need for them to, as it were, engage with the relevant stakeholders to get them to understand the need for them to embrace or keep the peace that we enjoy in the country now, during and after the December 7th elections. They have also been engaging some civil society organizations as to how to support the drive for a peaceful coexistence, especially in the northern parts of the country. Let's take a listen to what the president of the Gonjaland Youth Association, lawyer Mohammed Amin Osman, has been saying.
Important for us as the youth of the North to begin preaching peace to ourselves and then to everybody in Ghana, that the election this year is about selection and it is not about fight or a war. It is about a choice that we are going to make. And for us as the youth of the North, we think that the most important thing is the peace before, during the elections and after the elections. It is our hope that after these elections, we will have leaders who will be selected by the people of Ghana to represent us, and also the people of Ghana to choose a president who will come and lead this country. We hope that that president and all those members of parliament who will be coming will enjoy the peace that we are enjoying today. The stability of this nation is very important for us. And it is as the youth that people will use to foment troubles, especially during this period.
Chris, apart from the traditional authorities, which other groupings have they been engaging in their call for peace?
Yeah, so as leaders of the youth associations, they have also been engaging the various groups in the northern parts of the country because they believe that the youth are always used by politicians to foment trouble in electioneering periods. And so this is an opportunity for the youth associations to come together. For instance, the Konkomba Youth Association will talk to the people within the Konkomba enclave. The Gonjaland Youth Association will talk about the youth within the Gonjaland enclave. And so that is what they have strategized to do. There will also be host conference.
As always, for those details, that's my colleague Christopher Mako.
Presidential candidate of the NDC, John Dramani Mahama, has outlined his vision for revitalizing markets across the country. Speaking on his Greater Accra regional campaign, Mr. Mahama said it remains a priority of the NDC to modernize traditional markets, incorporating essential amenities that are welcome to both patrons and market women.
Nungwa Market Association NDC Caucus, welcome. We have a program in our manifesto we call the Market Enhancement Program. If you look in this country, most of the modern markets that exist have been built under NDC administration. A market must be inviting for people to be able to go in and buy. A market must be appetizing. Nobody wants to go into a market which is muddy and go and dirty their feet. And so we have a market enhancement program. We're going to identify key markets across the country, and we're going to modernize those markets, make them very nice so that our mothers and sisters can get a good place to do their trade. Ezu Candy Siba Jan Oni York Ghana Fair Wabasa Koni Wamami Meke wa sisters abana heni efo ni akechuni eja ke mofia mo small ni ebaya jano no oyafe o
The Yapei-Kusawgu constituency will be one of the key constituencies to watch in the December 7 general elections. 3 candidates are contesting against the incumbent NDC MP to represent the people in Parliament. Savannah Regional Correspondent Nadra Mohammed has filed this report.
The Yapei-Kusawgu constituency is one of 7 constituencies in the Savannah region. It is the largest constituency in the region and is described as an industrial hub, hosting factories such as Savasem, Bost and the Share Processing Factory. Agriculture remains the primary livelihood for the local population, with the Black Volta River flowing through parts of the constituency. However, residents face significant challenges, including a poor road network and inadequate health and education infrastructure. The National Democratic Congress (NDC) has held the seat since its creation in 1992, making it a stronghold for the party. According to the Provisional Register of the Electoral Commission for the 2024 general elections, the constituency has 71,324 registered voters, 180 polling stations and 30 electoral areas. Alhaji Amadou Seidu represented the constituency from 1992 until he stepped down in 2016 for John Abdullahi Janapo, who has since secured a seat for the NDC. In the 2020 elections, Janapo won with 28,254 votes, representing 59.05%, defeating the NPP's Salia Idrisu, who garnered 19,584 votes, which is 40.95%. For the presidential election, John Dramani Mahama received 31,525 votes, which is 65.17%, while Ekufuado polled 15,779 votes, which is 32.90%. This year, 3 candidates are contesting: the incumbent MP John Abdullahi Janapo, NPP's Amadou Zakaria, and independent candidate Awudu Adam. For both major political parties, this election is crucial.
If you look at the election this year, it's going to be a historic one. Historic in the sense that we have so it's going to be a good contest, but at the end, with the development that I have seen that the NP party is doing, we are likely to carry the day.
It is obvious that NDC is winning the 2024 elections, both parliamentary and presidential. I mean, I am saying it is obvious because for this constituency, right from the inception, it has been a safe seat for the NDC. I mean, and it is not just because we decided to be voting for NDC, but we have always received a fair share of the national cake at this level.
Voters' choices will be influenced by the development policies of the 2 main parties as they head to the polls on December 7.
So 8 years now, we are not seeing development. Look at the town, the district capital, no access road, no drinking water, no public settlement, no drainage system. So I've seen that both in NDC, always NDC, we are not seeing development. So this year, we, the youth, are coming out to make a change. We need to also change a different party. For the Parliamentary, we need to bring a different candidate, so we'll see what he can also do for that.
Voting I have voting. Maybe na yedi. MPP for yesterday. Boy, so muntimia. Munjana mama beji. Say you do that.
The economy is now hard.
The NPP should help us if they can, and if they cannot, they should allow the NDC to take over. People now buy on credit. I buy on credit to fill my shop, and people also do same to me. If they do not pay on time, it is a problem for me.
Will incumbent John Jinapor retain his seat for a third term, or will he be unseated by either the NPP candidate or the independent candidate? Voters in the Yapei-Kusawgu constituency will decide on December 7.
You're live here still on NewsCentral. We're going for yet another break. When we return, a bit more news for you in terms of that tragic East Legon accident where one more victim has been buried. Stay with us.
Over 5 million children have benefited from free SHS. Protect free SHS. Vote Dr. Baumia, #1 on the ballot.
This October to December, King's Furniture says, thank you, Ghana. Enjoy a whopping 25% off on all our domestic kitchen, wardrobes, and sofas. Upgrade your home with the finest furniture, crafted right here in Ghana. And for your office, we're offering 20% discount on all office furniture because your workspace deserves the best. Whether it's for home or office, now's the time to make your space truly yours and give the gift of comfort and style to your loved ones. Hooray! Promo is from October 1st and ends December 31st, 2024. Visit King's Furniture Showroom today and enjoy these incredible discounts. Locate us in Accra, Kisima, adjacent Melco and Takrade, Tanokrum, Pipeline, right opposite Connect FM, or call us on 050-150-5507 Accra and 050-133-2327. King's Furniture sets a standard. And a big thank you to God.
They said, yeah, you're the era of construction and fashion. And Nuntina, Chafas Institute of Practical Studies. One more a day. Programs the Bray Abba. Say, betting your bow. No one now on Sanu Juma. Way qualification be a home here. Sawako school, Sawunko school, and Fahokra. Ubetina Besia, Edia Kawajuma crown. Your long vehicle track, articulator, forklifts operating, excavator operating, fashion and sewing, electricals, and a plumbing works. They said, yeah, and Sanu Juma, yeah, and we are Sebebia. Enwa Neko, Chafas, and Ghana buying a carbon and 2 year yapeno now TVET certificates, and so I am ready. And I have a license. I will bet me that Juma, sell your bar, and I Bema, Obia betting yes, obet me at 12 school, so obet me credit to crying, Akoya Juma, our man on it. I am purely practical. I will be now your regular classes, your weekend classes, Ofrechi and Eba, Chafas, our hostel, Fred Chafas. I was 0596 922 021. Because social media platforms in Naswa. Chafas Institute of Practical Studies. Chafas, you see, learn by doing.
Charlie, these MVP guys, then finish us.
Mo, why they lament like that?
Mauli, you know they Ghana. The MPP tell we say that they can't protect the public purse. The purse, then TIFA, I want to protect the purse. Corruption, left, right, front, center. I not see some before.
This matter you want to talk for here. 1 day one corruption scandal. PDS, Ejapa, Skytrain, COVID, stolen excavators. God save them take do see the National Cathedral. If we for collect all one money from them.
Boys, boil up. You guys for cool down. See, we go recover all our stolen funds when John Mahama comes to power.
In this Ghana, how you go do it?
Operation Recover All Loot. Oral for short. John Mahama go investigate all cases of corruption, then prosecute all those found culpable, then retrieve all one stolen assets and funds. They take develop this country.
Shut up! Those way they run the public purse, where they steal one land, they destroy one water bodies on top. Where they walk about, they tell we say make we vote for them, no. We for jail them all. Oral, they come like a kite.
Vote for change. Vote for John Mahama and the NDC.
In a world where every moment counts, one team stands ready to deliver the news that shapes our lives.
A team driven by truth, integrity, and unwavering dedication. They travel to the front lines in the tireless pursuit of truth to bring you the world stories like never before. Get ready to witness the stories that matter. We have the most trusted voices in journalism who are committed to delivering accurate, balanced, and thought-provoking news. TV3, first in news.
Welcome back. Now, funeral of Justine Agbenu, one of two girls who have lost their lives in the tragic East Legon accident, has taken place. Hundreds of people joined the family to pay their last respects to Justine. Justine Agbenu and Mame Jumo, both students of Cornerstone International Academy, on Saturday, October 12th, were burned beyond recognition after a 16-year-old boy lost control of a Jaguar SUV and collided with a 4x4 Acura vehicle. Judge Queenin attended the burial service. He joins us with a few more, a bit more on happenings there. Judge, good afternoon to you. Somber mood, I'd guess, at the service. What was the message there tonight? I mean, this afternoon.
Honestly, it really took guts to be a part of this memorial service. If you're an emotional person, I doubt you can even enjoy a minute at the service. Sympathizers, well wishers, families and friends were there to pay their last respect. And even in the sermon that was read by the priest, he actually prayed for strength, light, and comfort for the family. I recall one journalist trying to interview a relative. He didn't even finish with his question. How dare you say it's an accident? How dare you? So this is a family that is in pain, and all they need now is some sort of comfort. And some, high-profile personalities were there, and even classmates of Justine could not really finish reading their tribute. They had to recompose and then, come back on track and then finish reading their tribute. It should tell you how solemn the mood was. And the Demolition, for instance, was there because it's a constituency. The constituency is vying for. That's where the incident happened. And he's really concerned about the fact that on that very stretch where the incident happened, there's no single speed ramp there. So he called on authorities to actually make sure that this is, constructed, and also called for swift justice for families of Justin. So we can hear him.
Very well, George, unfortunately, we are out of time. We are unable to take that. But I want to talk about the parents of Justine Agbenu or relatives who were present there. Talk to us about what it was like for them today.
So for Justine's mother, I think she's been quiet throughout. Even days before the memorial service, she's been quiet, and she can't even talk. So when the heads was leaving, she was just in tears. Friends had to console her, and at a point they were even prevented from taking pictures of her because she is that sort of pride. But I spoke to her family friends, and for her, they are not going to live this. They are going to pursue justice until they get it for Justine Camille.
Very well, we'll leave it here. Thank you so much. Judge Queenin is a reporter who was at the final funeral ceremony of Justine Agbenu. A really sad incident there.
Yeah, tragic.
You never get used to it.
I'm not sure anybody should. The manner in which they went, and I've seen some of the videos, even colleagues from school, Cornerstone International Academy, were inconsolable, and it's really sad.
Absolutely.
If you want to see a lot more of those videos, though, 3news.gh on Instagram is where you find exclusive content from us here at TV3 3FM and across all of our Media General's platform. It's on Instagram. That's where you stay informed with everything breaking, from news to you name it what, to exclusive behind-the-scene content in terms of news production and all of it. Do well to follow us. The handle 3news.gh on Instagram. That's our bulletin for your rather sad note. I am Mawina Igbeta.
Thank you so much for taking time out to watch us. I'm Kemeni Amano. We'll see you same time tomorrow. Up next is the afternoon show. Bye-bye.